quick lesson through the Spirit. Before I begin, I just want to give all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakak Dash, double honor to the head apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth, along with a sincere brethren that is also laboring in his work as well. To you I say Shalom. Yeah, man, so this is going to be a quick lesson through the Spirit concerning the flesh, dealing with temptation, battling that temptation demon. And, we all got to go through it, especially coming into this truth. You become aware of sin, and that's the battle. That's the condition of the battle. Once you come into this truth, you're constantly battling your flesh, and this within itself is a war on your mind spiritually. All right, so we're gonna get some examples of how Yahweh Shai conquered the flesh, as opposed to his past life. When he was Solomon, and we're going to get some scriptures to go along with it as well. So we're going to kick it off right here in 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. Examine yourselves, whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Yahweh Shai HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. All right. So, of course, the reprobate means void of judgment. So you don't want to be void of judgment. So, as the scriptures tell you, examine yourselves. Prove whether you be in the faith. All right. So if you're void of judgment, then you're not really in the faith. Because if Yahweh Shai is in you, then you understand what's right and what's wrong. Okay, which leads me to Ecclesiasticus. Chapter 2, verse 1. My son, as I come to serve the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, prepare thy soul for temptation. That's right. Set thy heart aright, and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. Cleave unto him, and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Alright, believe in him and he will help thee. Order thy way aright and trust in him. So it's pretty simple. But going back up to the top, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. And mainly this temptation in his flesh. Alright, because worshiping the flesh is pretty much going into idolatry. Alright, worshiping yourself instead of worshiping the Most High. So consider that when you're on your daily walk, man. Once you really walk in the Spirit, then you won't really fulfill the lust of the flesh. Which brings me to James, the 4th chapter, and the 7th verse. And it reads, submit yourselves therefore to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw nigh to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. Alright, be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning, and your joy to heaviness. Alright, humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up. So submit yourselves, therefore, to the Most High Yahweh. Resist the devil, and he will flee far from you. And this is what our Lord Yahweh Shai did multiple times. He didn't fulfill the lust of the flesh, and afterwards, Satan flee from him. A lot of us brothers, we go through battles in the flesh. We're often tempted, day by day, and a lot of times we fall right into the pit. It's important for you to look back on these stories and understand that Yahweh Shai often dealt with these same situations, and he conquered them all. This is Luke chapter 4 and verse 1. The temptation of Yahweh Shai. And Yahweh Shai, being full of the Holy Spirit, returned from Jordan, and was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, being 40 days tempted of the devil. And in those days he did eat nothing. And when they were ended, he afterward hungered. And the devil said unto him, If thou be the Son of the Most High, command this stone that it may be made bread. All right, so basically, Satan tempted Yahushua at his weakest point. All right, so Yahushua fasted 40 days without eating, and afterwards he was hungry. But Yahushua still overcame the flesh when Satan tempted him at his weakest point. And that's why Yahushua said in verse 4, and Yahushua answered him, saying, it is written that man should not live by bread alone. He was being spiritual, not carnal. That man should not live by bread alone, but by every word of Yahweh. And the devil taking him up into a high mountain, showing unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will give it. All right. If thou therefore wilt worship me, and shall be thine. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God Yahweh, and him only shalt thou serve. And he brought him to Jerusalem, and set him on a pinnacle of the temple, and said unto him, if thou be the Son of the Most High, cast thyself down from hence, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge over thee, keep thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, it is said, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy power. And when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. And that's why the scriptures tell you, man, you got to eat the whole roll. You got to have this word in you. All right. So if you're walking in the spirit, and that spirit is dealing with this word, all right, the words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. That's in I think John the 6th chapter, 63rd verse, if I'm not mistaken. But if you're walking in the spirit, which is having this word in you, then you're not going to fulfill the lust of the flesh. All right. And which Satan was tempting Yahushua at his weakest points. All right. He was poor, so he tempted him with all the kingdoms of the earth. He was hungry. After 40 days he didn't eat, so he tempted him with food. And he also tempted him with himself knowing that he had power. And he told him, hey, if you know you got this power, why don't you just jump off this cliff, and the angels are going to save you. All right. But Yahushua said, hey, you shouldn't tempt the Lord. All right. So these are three phases that Satan used to try to sift Yahushua out through the flesh. And he passed them all. Verse 12, and Yahushua answering said unto him, it is said, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. And when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. And that's the thing, all right? Once you endure temptation, all right, especially through the flesh, then the devil will eventually flee. It does not matter what that temptation may be. All right, sometimes you may have to fast and pray about it, but at the same time, if you resist that fleshly deed of sin, all right, that's pretty much conquering your spirit, then Satan will eventually flee. All right, we've all had to go through that process of conquering the flesh by the spirit, and every man has that same walk. So as the scriptures tell you, hey, if you walk in the spirit, you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. All right, and Yahushua is a prime example. All right, so we should be more like Yahushua. Now let's go to James. This is James, the 1st chapter, 12th verse. And it reads, blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Let no man say, when he is tempted, I am tempted of the Most High. For Yahweh cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away after his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. And that's what you got to be wary of. You got to be mindful and examine yourself, whether you be walking in the faith or not. So if you're walking in the spirit, you're going to be doing the things of the word. All right. and not fulfilling the lust of the flesh. All right, because if you walk in seeking how you can please your flesh, of course, it's enmity against the Most High. So it's important for you to keep these words in your mind and obey these words as you walk your daily life, and not fall into temptation. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 11. Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul. All right, fleshly lusts that war against the soul. Because if you're walking in the flesh, of course, man, you're gonna be going contrary to the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High. And if Yahushua is in you, and it's gonna be known through your conscience. All right, it's gonna show through your conscience. So it's important for you to, to flee from that. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. It's as simple as that. We're going to go back to Galatians chapter 5. Then we'll close it out. Galatians 5:19. Verse 18. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, as of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in the past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Right? But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Hamashiach have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. So if Yahushua be in you, you're going to crucify, all right, your affections. That old man that you used to be, the old stuff that you used to love, you're going to crucify that, and you're going to present your body as a living sacrifice. You're not going to be affected by fleshly lust. And Yahushua walked in that same spirit. He did not fulfill the lust of the flesh. And we ought to be the same way. Verse 25. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, for provoking one another and envying one another. So, yeah, temptation, is rough, but at some point you got to conquer through the Spirit, and the only way you're gonna conquer is by His Word. All right, the fear of the Lord drive away sins, as the Scriptures say, roughly paraphrasing. So, if you in His Word, it's gonna further cleanse you from your iniquities, whatever it may be. All of your fleshly lusts will eventually evaporate if you in the Word, in the Spirit. All right, so hopefully that was edifying to anyone out there listening. And until the next time, I say shalom.